All right. Happy holidays, everybody. It's good to see you. Well, kind of. I guess you don't see me yet, but um, wow. Here we go. Let's finish this year strong, everybody. Let's do the thing. All right. Look at this. Hi, everybody. Happy holidays. Hope you're doing well out there. Welcome to the Sandwich Corner, the subset of the Sandwich Show. My name is Dave Medina. You know me as Davey's Eating a Sandwich on the social media and also on over on Twitch as well, where we will also be doing a show. If you're watching this program live tonight, so the Twitch shows happen at about 9:15 Eastern. If you're tuning in with us live, but you also can catch it over. And then this show, as you can tell, is over here on YouTube. So we're here. Going to be a short show. We're only going to be here for about an hour and possibly less. There's not a lot to cover. But we're going to have our friend John in Connecticut back with us tonight. So let's bring him on in. Just good to do this thing. Recap the games. There's actually a lot of juice in both college and NFL right now. It's really a lot going on. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday season wherever you may be, and hope it's safe. I hope you have a good time with loved ones, family, and friends, both. It's nice to be able to do this to close things out for the year on the podcast. And I know the podcast has kind of been an interesting place, but I'm really excited to see what we're going to do next year. And there's going to be a lot to talk about with a lot of things. So we'll stay with it. I'm glad to have you here. The numbers on Spotify have actually been really good. I got to tell you, thank you so much for all the people who've been tuning in the last couple of weeks. Like that's great. Thank you. That means a lot. It actually keeps this entire operation going. So let's say hi to our guest tonight, and that's our friend John in Connecticut. Good to have you back, John. How's it going tonight?
What's up, Dave? Yeah, glad to be back. Hope you had a good week. It's been interesting sports action with all the bowl games and the NFL, and there's NBA, college basketball, NHL, like anything you can really, basically any sport is going on right now, except for like the outdoor ones, like baseball, golf, tennis.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good time. I hope everyone's getting ready for the holidays, wherever you celebrate. Spending time with family, being safe, the whole bit. So yeah, it's a good time of year.
Yeah, thank you, John. I agree. I've had the chance to go see at least one football game in person in the last couple of weeks. It was the LA Bowl, which
Nice.
yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. It was good. One of my buddies and I, we just decided let's just go check this out, and it's a good time. UCLA did the job.
I saw on the internet that um like one of the NFL games was going for 45 cents. I think we talked about this. It was the Panthers and Falcons was going for 45
Oh,
cents on StubHub.
really?
And like you couldn't pay me to go to that game, much less pay 45 cents. But what were the ticket scenario like for the LA Bowl? Like how was it seemed like a decent crowd on TV because it's
Yeah.
pretty funny that the SoFi Stadium's closer to UCLA's campus than the Rose
True
Bowl. So it was
story.
like more so of a home game for them. It seemed like a decent crowd, and I mean they played a pretty good second half. So what was the overall, I guess, experience like?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I think they were very smart in keeping the seating to just the 200 level and below. So basically the lower level seats only were being sold. So it created great atmosphere, pretty loud. The ticket prices were good, really good in my case, because the school was offering like a special essentially a special pre-sale. So I jumped in on that. It was only
Oh,
like
nice.
35-ish dollars for me. And the open market had it for like maybe 60, which is still pretty good for the game at SoFi Stadium, I think. And I think,
Yeah, that's reasonable for a bowl game. I would have paid that for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And
Like when I go to when I've gone to UNLV games in Vegas, and they play at the Raiders Stadium. So like if it's $50 or $75, like I don't mind paying that just to be in that nice stadium. Especially like the next day if the Raiders are playing, it doesn't matter who they're playing. It's like over $250 for just like a cheap ticket. And it's like, no, I am not paying that. Like, yeah, I'll pay that if I'm going to like Lambeau Field, but I am not paying that to go see like the Raiders play. So sorry.
Well, that 45-cent game was actually quite a doozy. I mean, it was what an upset by Carolina. I mean, holy cow! They got their money's worth.
It's like you can't even put it into words. Like the Falcons were going in for, I mean, any points there would have won them the game because Carolina was not scoring a touchdown, and for some reason, they're passing the ball in the red zone, and Desmond Ridder throws an interception. I'd like the 5-yard line, and essentially might end his career in Atlanta because he just got benched again. But improbably, Bryce Young and the Panthers go like the entire length of the field after that, and they get it so they get down to like the 1-yard line, no time left, and they kick the game-winning field goal to win 9-7. What a game!
What a game! I mean, that's the best way you could say it. Like, it was what a game indeed. It was part of a wild day in the NFL. Like, I mean, we had just some wacky stuff. Actually, a wild week. If you go back to the Raider game on Thursday, like, I don't think I could have seen the Raiders scoring 63 on anybody this year. Oh, my goodness, like, ooh. I mean,
if you ask me who is the next team to score like over 50 points, like the Raiders would have been my last guesses.
Absolutely, like it's just crazy to think that they had a legitimate chance to beat the Dolphins' 70-point score. They laid off the dog. They called off the dogs in the fourth quarter. Amazing. I mean, amazing for them. Sucks for the Chargers. The Q word comes into play in a game like that. I'm pretty sure the Chargers quit during that game because honestly, after like the fifth turnover, whatever, the third, let's say the third, I'm pretty sure they felt like it was over. Like they didn't even try after that.
I think they might have just quit going into the game without Justin Herbert because they knew they had no chance without him.
Yeah.
And then plus, you throw Staley and just how horrible a coach he is in the mix. I think just not having Herbert there basically made them just like not even try to begin with. Now, with that being said, I think you have to almost look at the Chargers getting the points against the Bills on Saturday, which is like the ugliest bet ever. But the trends say after a team loses by like 30 or 40 points, they're a good bet on the next game, especially when they're an underdog. So, and you have the fired coach bump for like the one game. So they might be competitive in this game against Buffalo, especially getting over 10 points. Not saying they're going to win, but it could be a competitive matchup.
That's an interesting call. Because Buffalo has been playing a lot better lately. It's interesting how they're
killed Dallas. I mean, Dallas didn't even show up for that game.
Yeah.
Talk about teams that quit.
I had a good feeling about the Bills there. I think that this was
Same.
Oh, you did too?
Yep.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I mean, they've been more efficient with their offense. I think they try to mix in the run more. Like, I think, even though most of the time when you fire an offensive coordinator, it's just a superfluous move, but this might have actually had some tangible benefits because it looks like they're doing a better job, like moving the ball now.
I mean, Josh Allen didn't really do much. They just kind of ran it right at the Cowboys the entire game, and Dallas couldn't stop them. So,
yeah.
I mean, Buffalo, they're right in the mix now for the playoffs, but the AFC is pretty crazy. Like they legit probably have to win all their games left to get in. Like if they drop one, they're in trouble. But the good news is, we just talked about they play the Chargers. They'll be like a 10-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots, they'll probably be a 10-point favorite. So it's probably going to come down to that game against Miami at the end of the year. So that's gonna be a heck of a game, Week 17. That's for like the division. It's Buffalo might need it to just even make the playoffs. So that's going to be a really interesting game.
Oh, absolutely. And that wasn't the end of the end of the craziness. We had Baltimore beating Jacksonville is not that big a deal. Like that's actually surprised it was that a runaway game. The runaway it was, but I think people were really hemming and hawing about the call in the end zone where they thought that the receiver caught it, but they ruled him out of bounds. I mean, it was pretty close. What did you think of that call? Oh,
I mean, it's just so hard. Like, what is a catch and wasn't a catch anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You just can't tell at this point. I thought it was a catch, personally, and even the NFL I forget his name, the rules official they had, they bring in the guy on NBC. He's not a complete shill like the guy on ESPN that they bring in every Monday night just to like, oh, the officials did a great job. Or like Gene Steratore. I know Andy hates him, on CBS, but
Yeah.
the guy on Sunday Night Football on NBC actually says, "Oh, the refs got this one wrong. Like this should have been a flag, or this should have been a touchdown, or this is not a foul." And I think that there's evidence there. Like his knee was down and he had control of the ball for a second. Like that's a touchdown. You just don't even know what a catch is anymore. And it goes back to another example of this was the Monday night game the week before with the Packers and the Giants. The receiver catches the ball. He is 2 feet in the end zone, and then the defender knocks the ball away. But like he had possession and his feet down. Like, isn't that a touchdown? Like, it's just so bizarre. Like, okay, like he doesn't have to survive the ground when he's in the end zone. Like you caught it, your feet are down, you're over the plane. Like that's a touchdown.
Yeah, that's good.
But
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's just crazy. Like, and sometimes like things are different when you're looking at them full speed versus frame by frame, and it's just like I don't know. They've completely just butchered like what is a catch versus what is not a catch at this point.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I realize how hard that is to figure to see to watch in real time, but it's like it's like you said, like there are contradicting ideas in play.
Right.
Like you've seen that rule to catch a lot of times, or a touchdown many times. Like usually, once you cross a goal line, for example, like when you have the ball, play's dead, it's over. So,
Right, exactly. Like if you're in the middle of the field and like you're diving for the end zone and you cross the goal line with the ball, but then it comes loose, it doesn't matter because you already crossed the plane of the end zone.
yeah,
But apparently, if you catch it, you have to like hold on to it for like a millisecond, even if the defender knocks it off, because for why? I don't know. Like
you're
to
right.
me, even if you're diving forward, like okay, you cross the plane, but you should still have to hold on to the ball for it to be a touchdown,
Yeah.
just like anywhere else in the field. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that's kind of like it's a consistently inconsistent trend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other like quick hitters from the NFL since we're still on the topic?
Well, Joe Barry can take the next bus out of Green Bay, and I never want to see him again. Absolutely disgusting the way this guy coordinates the defense. Hey, did you hear what Tommy DeVito did last week? He did nothing because he wasn't playing the Packers in their soft ass zone where their defensive backs line up 30 yards down the field. It's like 3rd and 4, and you have guys 30 yards, your safeties are 30 yards back, your cornerbacks are 10 yards off the ball. Baker Mayfield had the first perfect passer rating heading into Lambeau Field in opponent history.
Wow.
Just absolutely embarrassing. Like he's going to suck this week, but bet the Jags. That's my best bet of the week because anybody will make Joe Barry will make anybody look good. This defense is a complete and utter disgrace. They have talented players. I mean, their front has some great edge rushers, and they have talent all over the field. They've spent first round picks over the last I don't know how many years, but this guy is complete garbage. But there's only 3 games left, so they're not going to get rid of him now. I can only hope they get rid of him at the end of the season. Like I was so hyped after the Kansas City game, just all right, here we go. The schedule is setting up perfectly. You got the Giants, the Bucks, the Panthers, Vikings, and Bears was the remaining schedule. And I'm like, all right, well, you can go 3-2 in those and like still make the playoffs at 9-8, maybe even 4-1 in that stretch. Already lost to the Giants, just lost to the Bucks. I guarantee Bryce Young will have his best game of the season this weekend against the Packers because everybody does. Will that be good enough to win? I don't know because Bryce Young seems like he's pretty terrible. So maybe instead of scoring 10 points, they score 17 this weekend. And God, I hope the Packers can score 20. And that's the one thing that's being wasted. Like Jordan Love is really coming into his own. The young receivers, they're finally starting to like click and understand the offense more. And I've been really impressed with them over the past 6 or so weeks. And now the defense has completely collapsed. So Green Bay's not out of the playoffs yet. A win here against Carolina, and they'll be back in the hunt. But it's just like I almost kind of want them to miss because then they can get this ass clown off the organization because he knows shit. Like he was the defensive coordinator for the 0-16 Detroit Lions. Like, why the fuck are you hiring this guy? Like, he knows nothing. Like, haven't you seen enough of his track record? Like he's Matt LaFleur's friend. Like, that's the problem. Like, you got to be able to not hire your friends, and now he can't fire his friend. So it's just a mess. But that's my rant on the Packers and their just horrific defensive coordinator that I hope is gone very soon. But other stuff in the NFL, yeah, I mean these playoff races are just going to be insane, especially in the AFC. Like you have so many teams that are bunched up there. I guess the NFC is a little more. You kind of, I mean, those last two spots or whatever, like average teams are going to get in for the wild cards, but the NFC is pretty top heavy with San Fran and Dallas, Philly. I mean, I don't know about Philly now. Like they've been really struggling. I mean, that was pretty. I mean, I just shit over Joe Barry. I mean, how about letting Drew Lock go like 90 yards to win the game with a game-winning drive? Like that was pretty bad out of Philly.
Can't disagree with that. Like, I always think that game was rather exciting, but rather unusual at the same time. Like, it's definitely a bad look for Philadelphia. I mean, I get it. The thing about it is though is that Jalen Hurts was not 100%. Everybody knew it. Like he was sick with some kind of illness. We didn't know what it was, but you figured there was going to be a window for the Seahawks. But to do it in like what was it, like 2 minutes? Like under 2 minutes?
It was under 2 minutes. Yeah. They went down. They went the length of the field and scored with, I don't know, 30 seconds left. But then, I don't get it sometimes. Like they have a really good kicker, and they get to the 50-yard line. You really only need like, I don't know, 10 more yards, 15 more yards to try a field goal. Like dump it off to your running back. That was wide open. Instead, like they throw deep and he gets picked off, and then the game is over. It's just pretty bad situational football in that spot. Like I get it, you kind of want to get down the field closer, but that's exactly what Seattle is guarding against. They could have gotten an easy 10 to 15 and given it a shot with their kicker. So that was a pretty bad loss for the Eagles. Well, lost 3 in a row now.
Yeah.
The good news is Tommy DeVito is coming to town for Christmas, so that should cure the Eagles' woes. Defensively, at least. I know it's a rivalry, but I cannot see the Giants winning.
No, I mean the Giants had a nice little run there. I agree with you. I think.
Yeah, they got to play the Packers defense and Joe Barry. Like I mean, like I said, he makes everybody look good. Like DeVito was the player of the week because of Packers. Like I have no idea how like the Packers kind of slowed down Patrick Mahomes, but I guess I kind of get it. Like the defense is built to stop explosive plays. So you play the same defense against Tommy DeVito that you do against Patrick Mahomes, and you're more likely to have more success against Mahomes because he's going to try to like take those big, plays down the field or whatnot. While as like kind of lesser quarterbacks are just going to kind of take what the defense gives you and go like 5 to 10 yards at a time. But it's just infuriating.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the Eagles should take care of them on Christmas and get back into the race. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was kind of like noteworthy. The Steelers have really fallen apart, Dave. I know you're.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that. They're trash. Like
talk about teams that are shit shows at the moment. I mean, just brutal. Like I thought that was a good matchup for them against the Colts, and they got off to a good start, but that was rough.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't really have anything to add to that. I mean, they just. When your offense is that bad,
is Tomlin going to go? Is Tomlin getting like? They probably wouldn't like quote fire him.
No, I wouldn't see that.
If he left, like they would say, oh, they're going to part ways. But I don't think they will. I think he's still going to be there next year.
I agree too. Yeah, the personnel is just so. It's very lackluster at the moment, really, specifically on the offense. Like it's just not good. Right. Like I can't see a team that has been with him that long saying, "Yeah, you're done." After that, like. It doesn't seem like there's much he could have really done with that team. And he's actually even engineered a couple of great wins. Like he had a couple of nice upset wins, like so.
Right. It seems like he gets the most out of like the team every year. Like they're around 9 wins every single year, no matter what, no matter who's playing it. I mean, they usually could still win a couple more games this year. So like, how like, the perfect time to like bet the Steelers is when they're underdogs and like no one thinks they're going to win. Well, that's pretty much this week's game against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to be taking the Bengals, which is, I have to say, like did not expect Jake Browning to be playing this well for them and like still being in the playoff hunt. So kudos to them. Or obviously they have some talented skill players, and the system around him is pretty good. But I just didn't really see that happening, and he stepped in and played pretty well. So, props to the Bengals and Jake Browning.
Yeah. Browning's definitely doing a wonderful job in his role, and a really nice comeback for them against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not really sure if I even criticize. Minnesota definitely had terrible clock management, so that's why they lost. But still, you got to give a lot of credit to the Bengals there. All right, that's a pretty decent. That's a pretty good recap. I don't feel like there's a whole lot else to get into there. So let's get back to college football for a second. And week 1 recap. I'm going to give you the floor. Tell us about all the games that you saw over the last week and a half.
Oh, all the bowl games. Oh man. Very, very, very disappointed in New Mexico State. Like, what was that on Saturday? Like, that was just so bad. We touted them. We talked how this was going to be their, bowl game of the year for them, and they were going to be motivated, and they just laid a complete egg against Fresno State. So, I guess that goes to show you, like, anything can happen in one game of football. I mean, they destroyed Auburn by 21, yet they're losing to a Fresno team that was pretty bad towards the end of the year by 27. And I guess their quarterback wasn't like 100% healthy, but still, like, I mean, if he was playing, he was healthy enough. So that was really disappointing. Trying to think of the other games on Saturday. I didn't catch the Celebration Bowl, but apparently that was really good between Florida A&M and Howard. But that bowl always seems to have a pretty dramatic finish and usually like a big upset. And it almost happened this year again, but A&M got the win. The Cure Bowl was just in a complete downpour between App State and Miami, Ohio. It was like there's like 13 fumbles between the two teams. It was crazy. I don't know how there wasn't more points because no one could hold on to the ball there. So that was it was as entertaining as like that that score of a game could be. We mentioned the LA Bowl already, but it was like hosted by Gronk. Like, what was his activity at the stadium? That's what I wanted to ask you.
There was quite a bit. It's more than you might think. Like, first, there was a lot of conversation about him participating in the anthem, and some people were outraged about it. But he was part of a group. To be fair, it's just that his voice was not on the same level as everybody around.
Right.
So there's that. One of the interesting quirks of the game was that every time there was a kickoff, there would be a dog whose name was Blitz. I don't know if Gronk had anything to do with this, but they would throw like a ball onto the field after a kickoff, and this big dog would just like run out and get the ball, and then they would get the ball back, and everybody got a kick out of it. But so there's that, and Gronk was participating a lot. Like there's like during commercials, like Gronk would be like having whipped cream shots with people in the stands, and there would be like challenges to see if you could beat Gronk in naming like number of toppings on the pizza. There were like several of these challenges, and everybody, like, they would pick some random Mongo from the audience to do it, and the random Mongo was winning hands down like every time. I guess Gronk isn't as smart as I thought, but so
oh man, you wish you had gotten picked then. Like, were these people winning like gift cards and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
There was another sponsor to it. I guess they like sell alcohol products. It's like Starco brand or something. I never heard of them, so I guess that kind of adds up if they were doing like Jello shots with whipped cream or something in the during the commercial breaks.
Yeah, it was fun, and there was even one scenario where they had like show us your muscles or flex, like show us your flex. At the end of the segment, like they had Gronk flexing, and he was like next to some mascots, and they were just kind of like duking it out with each other. Like I had a good time with it. I've never been to the Kimmel version of the bowl, so I don't know if it was better than that or not, but I had a good time with Gronk, and if he were to do it again, I think it'd be a good time.
Yeah, he probably made a lot. Like, I don't see Jimmy Kimmel doing those kind of activities in the middle of the game. Like, he probably would do like some comedy sketch or or whatever. Like I don't think he would like do that. Gronk seems like he would basically almost do anything
Yeah.
to like put on a show essentially. But that's good. I can imagine like I mean the bowl game is essentially an exhibition game, so I'm glad that they had like stuff like that to keep people kind of engaged in addition to what was going on with the game. But
Yep.
yeah, that was a good comeback from UCLA. Like they really, although it kind of helped them is that Garbers came into play in the second half. I don't know if it was like
Injury.
the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy.
Yeah.
got
Oh,
hurt.
so it wasn't
Yeah.
injury. Okay,
Yeah.
so that wasn't a coach's decision.
Right. Yeah. So what happened was whoever the I forget. I keep forgetting the name of the other guy. But
Colin Schlee is the
Schlee. Okay, I think
guy.
that's right. That's right. Okay, so Schlee was running with the ball a lot. So they would do these little like rollouts, and then he would like try to run into the seam for to get the first down. And then he had a play where he was just so wide open. He was running towards the end zone. He would have made it if he didn't run out of gas. He literally just stopped and he just gave up, almost like he just lost steam and then like ran out of gas. I don't know what the injury was. Maybe he tweaked something, but he didn't. Obviously he was short by 2 yards and he was on the ground for a little bit, but he did get up on his own power. So it's probably not that serious, but it was serious enough to keep him out of the game.
Right. It's just an exhibition. Like you're not going to, risk any more injury. But that ended up working out well for UCLA because Garbers had some really nice deep passes in that second half, like just shredding the Boise secondary. So that's exactly what they needed to win that game. So
yeah.
I had a bet on UCLA, but unfortunately I had a bet on the under too because I didn't think either offense would do much, but that certainly foiled that idea. Once he came in the second half, it was looking pretty good for a while. But yeah, we've seen teams like not show up, and like UCLA kind of looked like that for a little bit. But it was good to see them kind of come back and win that. But the other game on Saturday that was really entertaining was the New Orleans Bowl with Jacksonville State and Louisiana. Like it really never should have gotten to overtime. Louisiana had like 3 defensive touchdowns. So number one, like that should have never happened. Like Jack State was just dominating them in terms of yardage and whatnot. But that's what happens when you turn the ball over and it goes for touchdowns. But they were still able to get the win in overtime. So that was a really exciting game. The other games on Saturday weren't terribly exciting. The ones I haven't mentioned, the Georgia Southern Troy. Georgia Southern did not show up. That was another team that just like kind of quit on the game.
Yeah.
Clay Helton coach, not surprising. So
I'm telling you. Yep. Right. I mean,
we will make a mental note of that going forward. He's still a coach at Georgia Southern. I mean, I had Ohio because like if you were following the line movement on the spread, like Ohio had like literally nobody left in terms of like starters on offense. Yet the spread was moving -3.5 for Georgia Southern to -1.5 by kickoff. So it's like, okay, someone knows something here that's going on.
Yeah.
So I just kind of followed that. And then Texas Tech was just kind of no real need to recap that. Cal got off to a hot start and then just couldn't sustain it. So a win for the Big 12. But I want to say maybe the most interesting, but like the most bizarre game happened on Monday with the Famous Toastery Bowl. They were throwing up toast at the end of the game. This is crazy now because then I'll mention that game in a second. But last night they dumped coffee on the coach because it was the Scooter's coffee.
I hope it wasn't too cold, too hot though.
Yeah. I think it was I'm hoping it was like cold brew ice coffee.
Yeah.
Because how could you like? Why would they have like a Gatorade bucket full of hot coffee on the sideline? Like, that doesn't seem pretty good.
Nope.
I honestly, I've never heard of that chain before. That must be like a Western thing. Do you have Scooter's Coffee in California?
No, I thought it was a Southern thing. I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Oh, Scooter's Coffee. Oh no, sorry. I thought you were talking about Famous Toastery.
Oh no, Famous Toastery is definitely a Southern like.
Yeah. Okay.
Bagel bread shop, whatever. But what about Scooter's Coffee?
I might have seen a Scooter's Coffee once or twice. I'm not sure exactly where. Probably not in LA though, but definitely in the West somewhere. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to look them up. But if they got money to sponsor a bowl game, clearly they're around. Although I don't know, maybe it doesn't take much. Maybe we could have the sandwich show.
Sandwich show bowl.
The sandwich show bowl.
Sandwich
next
bowl.
Year. I mean, I don't know.
People are going to be wondering what the hell that is, and be like, well, why didn't I tell you?
Like, yeah, we can have all. all of us like doing interviews at halftime, or I don't know, during the segments like Gronk. But
we should get Andy out there for that. Like Andy,
oh
like
my god, that'd be hilarious. Like he could just like rant on the coach, like what the fuck are you doing calling that? Like he could just, it would be hilarious just to have him like rant as the game's going on.
so good.
About yeah, that'd be. I mean, honestly, how much could it take to sponsor some of these bowl games? I'm sure it's not much money. Like, but anyway, as for the game itself, on Monday with the famous Toastery Bowl, I had Old Dominion, and that was just absolutely disgraceful. They go up 28-0, literally almost instantly, like by the end of beginning of the second quarter, and almost do nothing from there to the end of the game. Western Kentucky, Helton's kid actually was playing, and he was so bad they benched him like almost instantly. I don't think he was hurt. I think they just benched him because he was like fumbling. The offense was going nowhere. They put the backup in, and Western Kentucky had this huge comeback. And he gets to the end of the game, and it's 4th and goal on the 15-yard line, and there's a guy literally wide open. Like it's as if Joe Barry went from the Green Bay Packers to the Old Dominion coaching staff for that one play, because like you could not have been more wide open on a play where why aren't your guys just covering the goal line like spread across? But in any event, it goes into overtime. Old Dominion gets the ball first, and you're thinking, all right, we still got a chance here for laying 4 points with the spread, because if they can score a touchdown first and get a stop, we're good. Quarterback breaks a big run down to the 1-yard line, and you're thinking, all right, this is great. Like, we're going to get a touchdown here. Stuffed 3 times on the 1, going forward on 4th down, false start. And, of course, the kick is blocked, the field goal, and Western Kentucky,
that hurts.
They don't have to do much. They just kick a field goal, and they win the game. And one of the most disgraceful performances and collapses you'll ever see in a bowl game. Like, that was just, they're on the shit list going forward, Old Dominion and that coach.
I mean, I said it before the game a week ago. I'm like, I didn't know enough about this game at all. I know almost nothing about these two teams. The only thing I knew was that Western Kentucky was really horrible defensively, and that definitely bore itself out. So
that played out. Did you wager on the over on this one? That would have been the play.
I think I did, or maybe what I did was I had the under initially, and then I remember I was talking about that on Monday. Like I wasn't sure what to do with that, and I think I did take the over. I have to go back and look, but if I didn't do that, what I did was I live bet at some point, because I'm like, they're not going to stop these guys. Like,
well, you know what, like. Western Kentucky, I should have it's really not even a hedge at that point. If you're laying 4 with one side and then you like take plus 28.5, like you're not really hedging. You're trying to because you could probably see that Western Kentucky was going to make a little bit of a comeback, but I never thought they were going to come back to like win. But that was just crazy.
And here's what it is. Yeah. I don't think Old Dominion knew what to do with the lead, because they were talking about how they were in all these close games all year and how they had to come back in all of them. That was very unfamiliar territory for them, and I was bothered by the way they were playing. Like, I was just gonna run, we're not gonna do anything.
Right, it's like they couldn't execute their offense with such a big lead. Like, they didn't know what to do. Which honestly, it does make sense. But you just can't lose that game up 28-0. That's just obviously we lost, or I did. I lost some bad, but it was an entertaining finish, and that's kind of what you want to see with a bowl game. Like, you don't want to see 55-0 or whatever that was last year with LSU and Purdue. It was like that was like the worst bowl game I've ever seen. It was look that up. It was like it might have been 63-7 or something. That was just so bad. You never want to see that in a bowl game. So I'm glad that as bad as it was to watch that, it was pretty competitive. Yep. And then last night was like a perfect example of you honestly you really shouldn't make any bets on your bowl games until literally half an hour before. Unlike usually during the season, you can get something like good closing line value before spreads move or whatnot. But last night, UTSA was like -10, -12 for a while. And then you start seeing reports trickle out that Frank Harris isn't going to play. And this was like a couple hours before game time. And the number like crashes all the way down to, I think it was UTSA -7. Sure enough, he doesn't start. And then they get behind 14-0 because their quarterback, it was actually pretty crazy. both quarterbacks were sons of former NFL quarterbacks. It just made you feel super old.
Oh, I know. I know.
You had Owen McCown for UTSA, and then you had Cole Pennington for Marshall. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I am so old watching this game. Because I vividly remember, like, just kind of sometimes like, I don't remember that guy playing football. Like I vividly remember both of their dads obviously playing football. So, yeah, so UTSA got behind. They come back and they finally got things clicking with their offense, and they really got it going, and they ended up winning no problem. But if you bet UTSA like -12 or something, like you're really sweating that out. And once you see all that line movement or whatnot, I got a good break on the under over crash, like 6 or 7 points. It went from 53 to 46, and I jumped in on the over 46. And I'm like, oh well, I still think there'll be a decent amount of points here, and the over ended up hitting pretty easily. So,
yep.
But it's just another example that if you're betting bowl games, like maybe wait just a little bit longer than, then like right when the lines come out, like you usually really don't know who's gonna like just opt out right before the game.
You're right. I thought that the line movement on this game was absolutely bananas. Like, the thing about it is the public really wanted that under. Like, you could see the numbers, the percentages. Yeah. There were huge amounts of money going on the under, and I didn't understand it. I'm like, UTSA was a pretty solid offense all year, and I was like, even if like I was just like, what? Like, I had to stand my ground. It was hard to do. Like,
okay, so you had a bet on the over too.
I did.
Did you get it as low as I did with the 46?
No. Here's where it gets crazy. So when I bought the over, I had the over at 51.5. I was sweating it towards the end of that game because it looked great in the beginning, but then it was really starting to slow down in the second half, and I was like, oh no.
And then thankfully the quarterback, so Pennington got hurt for a couple plays, and then the backup is literally his first pass was like right in the hand, like the UTSA defender essentially was running the route, and he picked it off and almost ran it in for a pick six, and I think they scored on the next play. So.
Yeah. So
you got your over on that.
Yeah, thank goodness for that, but it just goes to show you that the public, and I remembered this last year. Do not look at the public numbers. They mean nothing. Like, you got a lot of people who are not paying attention to sport betting on these games.
Right.
And so
you're 100% right. Like the true degens are the ones that are following, like, if Frank Harris is on the sideline practice or like warming up or whatever, like the casual fans, they're not looking up that information and trying to lock in their bets, not at all. So the percentages are they're definitely skewed this time of year. One thing to look at is if you look at on the ESPN Bowl Mania, you can see like the percentages of teams that are picked. Like, that's a good kind of guide sometimes to see where the public is going.
Yeah. But compare it against the money line. And that actually has been helpful for me in some cases. That's why I did pick Old Dominion to win the game in the Bowl Mania, which that sucks because it's like we could have had that's like a 20-point swing for some of us, like, man.
Oh yeah, I didn't have it that high. I had it at I want to say 17, so it wasn't a major pick, but it just still sucks losing a game like that when you're up 28-0.
Yeah.
In fact, I haven't done any pick higher than 23 so far. I've been so like afraid with some of these games. They're so unpredictable. I was all ready to go like 40 on UTSA last night, but then the news about Frank Harris came out, and I'm like, no, I can't. I cannot put 40 points on the backup quarterback. And I could have, in hindsight, like, yeah, I should have kept it, but like you just can't do it. So, and I know the next two nights are not going 40 points with USF Syracuse and then UCF Georgia Tech. Like, those could go either way. So I guess I'm holding off until Saturday for my first big point value of the bowl season.
I think you're doing this is brilliant strategy. My strategy, I don't know if you've picked up on it yet, but my strategy is not much different. I also have not put anywhere near 40 points in any game so far. And I'll tell you what, there are two specific games where I'm really happy I didn't do that. Last night's game was one of them. I'm like, wow, because they fell behind. What didn't you just say? Fell behind by 10 plus, like in the first
14-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah. I'm like, that got nervous for a lot of people, I'm sure. So
yeah, one of my buddies had it 43, and I'm like, oh man, this is not looking too good for him. It's like at that point you kind of almost want, like, if so many people have it at a high level,
yeah,
who cares if you're at like number 20? Like, you're going to gain points if that ends up losing. So sometimes you can kind of see where everybody's at, and you're almost rooting against your own pick, but it'll help you long term.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah, that's how it played out. But yeah, I'm definitely not going 40 on the next couple games at all. Like,
yeah,
USF Syracuse, like,
I don't even know who
I mean,
I still don't
I
have
kind of lean USF, but I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I watched USF play UConn. UConn should have beaten them without a problem, but then UConn did their typical just choke in the fourth quarter. But UConn should have beaten them. But at the same time, like, I don't think Syracuse is very good at all.
Yeah.
They really fell apart down the stretch with like injuries and depth issues, and now their quarterback's not playing. I will say their new coach is really recruiting well. This guy from Georgia, Fran Brown, I don't know how they hired this guy. He has connections to Syracuse, but he was on the Georgia staff recently. So he's bringing like that SEC like recruiting mentality to Syracuse. He got Kyle McCord in the transfer portal from Ohio State.
It's pretty big.
So they're like recruiting big time. So we'll see if that translates to anything next year. It could be a kind of a sleeper team, but the current team, like, I don't think they're very good. So this is like a toss-up game for me.
Well, I'll tell you what. The other thing, going back to the thing about don't judge what the public thinks of a game. Were you surprised that the over was 57? I'm like, for those two teams, like
for USF, it's Syracuse.
I'm going to double check that. I'm going to confirm that, but that's what I saw. It was a lot.
I mean, I guess there could be like a lot of kind of explosive plays, but I would say under.
I would say under. I would feel pretty good about it.
If it's 57, I would say under. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was. I think it's down to 56 now, but at 57.
Okay. I mean, I still kind of feel good about under.
Yeah. I mean, remember we talked about the South Florida Alabama game. It was 3-3 at halftime, and
that's right. The game that never happened.
Right, and then Syracuse had a game against Boston College where they could not score. They could not score in that game at all. They lost. I think they lost them outright.
Yeah, and I think they're pretty run based too. So like the clock is going to be running most of the game.
Yeah.
That's tough. However, the game that is going to go over, Georgia Tech UCF.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think it's like in the 60s, but yeah, you got to bet the over. For that.
Absolutely.
There's not going to be much defense played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love these. Here's a tough one: Arkansas State, Northern Illinois.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we talked about it last week.
Yeah. I don't know.
On one hand, you have the MAC, which isn't very good, but on the other hand, you have Butch Jones, so it's just like I don't know. I mean, do you really feel confident backing Butch Jones now as like a 3-point favorite? I don't.
Oh.
I mean,
yeah.
I hate to play like the conference game, like matching up conferences, but we had a Sun Belt MAC bowl game already. It was Ohio, Georgia Southern, and Ohio just rinsed them. So I know Arkansas State was a different team once they changed quarterbacks in the middle of the year, but I still don't trust them at all.
That's fair. I mean, I need to go back and look at Northern Illinois' record, but
yeah. Saturday's going to be a good day. Like, you have 7 bowls on Saturday.
Yep.
Yes, you have the 7 bowls. You have the 2 NFL games, and then you have I want to say like 20 college basketball games. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty good day.
Yeah.
I know UConn's playing St. John's, and I know Florida Atlantic is playing Arizona. So some good matchups all around. It's gonna be a fun day.
I'm gonna be a Florida Atlantic Mongo this year. They're fun. They've been legit so far. I mean, really good team because they had a lot of their guys back from the final tournament run they had last year. So
yeah, pretty much I think they just lost one player. Everybody else is returned. So yeah, absolutely.
By the way, just Alabama, Arizona tonight. Over-unders 176. Where would you lean? Where would you lean on that?
You got to take over.
I would take the over. I would take the over too. I would take it. Yeah.
I mean, it's huge, but you got to take the over.
Yeah.
I kind of think Alabama with the points might be enticing too. I think it was like 8 points I saw, or 7, something like that.
That sounds good.
I mean, if Bama shoots those threes, I mean, they can hang in with anybody. You saw it against Purdue when they played. I know it kind of trailed off to the end, but I feel like they can hang around in this one.
Yeah, I made a huge mistake with my card last week in your pool. I'm like, on two fronts. I didn't do my homework. You should never lay that many. You should never lay like a touchdown on a team in Indiana or really anywhere where there's a big home atmosphere. That was a dumb bet. I mean, Kansas won. They won the game. Good for them on that. But yeah, that's just not a good bet. And then you look up the history and then like, oh my god, like this is. I'm like, I knew I was gonna lose. Like I just knew I was gonna lose that bet. Like I had no chance. Indiana went up by what, like 14, 17? It was a great game, but still like just ridiculous. And then the other one was Arizona. I had the audacity to think that Purdue could slow down Arizona, so I bet the under in that 157 over under 157. I bet the under in that.
I think that was over at halftime. I think.
Pretty sure of that. Pretty sure of that.
You really got just pretty screwed though on of all games, the Tennessee NC State game. So I think that's a lesson to you to never do anything with Rick Barnes ever again. Because they didn't. I think you had NC State, right? So Tennessee covered by like a half a point, and also the over/under lost by like a half a point. So it was just crazy how that fell. Like it was just so tight. But I think if you bet like around the game time, NC State I think covered because it was like around 10. But for our contest, it was only 8.5.
Wow. So I was on the right side of that basically. Just didn't work out.
Pretty much, yeah. Just a little bit of alignment there really hurt you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not going to give up on that, especially if you get another game where NC State's at home. I would totally take that again, like or if they were at home.
See, it was a neutral site
game, right?
Like, why are Tennessee and NC State playing in San Antonio, Texas? Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But
that's what I was going to. I forgot to mention that. That's why I didn't. That's why I took Kansas. I thought it was a neutral. I just thought in my head it was a neutral site game. I'm like, oh god, this is being played at Assembly Hall, like a week and a half after Bob Knight died. I'm like, this is dumb. Like just. So
yeah, those home crowds definitely like the home dogs now. Like they're gonna be barking.
Yeah,
you saw with Michigan State against Baylor. Like
that was on Baylor too.
Oh god,
that was so. You just again, like you can never bet against home court. It's a real thing in college basketball. Like it's
especially in the Big Ten. Like those teams suck, but at home they're pretty good at home. Like, they'll suck in the tournament, but at home, like they got some decent home courts.
Yeah, you go down the line. I mean, Purdue, like unstoppable at home.
Yep.
Iowa, maybe not Iowa this year, but well,
no, Iowa they can score points at home. I would throw that in there, but yeah, you're right. Like Purdue, Michigan State, Iowa. Wisconsin, Indiana, like I would say like those 5 have a pretty good home court advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
And then like maybe not as much like with like Ohio State, Michigan, Minnesota. I mean, even Rutgers has a really good home court.
Oh, you can't beat them at the rack. You can't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good call. So a lot of that going on. And then one more thing with the Kansas. I think that was Kansas' first true road game too. Like it just. If I did any amount of research on this game, I would have probably pivoted on that. But it's all good.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta just get the picks in, and it's like, all right, well, that kind of looks good. Sure, why not? So I hear you.
Yeah, definitely will do a better job next time, though, for sure. Because I'll be looking at these a little more carefully next time. Looking ahead as far as the football is concerned, we talked about. Are you standing by your Eastern Michigan spread pick? Because that seemed like a solid call versus South Alabama.
Man, it's so tough because I see like they're missing a bunch of like of all teams. Like Eastern Michigan has players like not opting out or transferring. Like it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Time to be alive.
But that's tough. Like they're really good as a dog, but they're so bad too. Like I'm fairly confident in South Alabama for like bowl mania, but I don't know if I can lay that many points in a bowl game. I don't know if I can do it. So even if it's like 24-10, like they still cover.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're right about that. I mean, and then the over under is just as much of a coin flip because like I couldn't tell you. Like I don't know, but you're right. I mean, South Alabama, I'm pretty sure they'll win, but. We'll see.
Yeah, that's probably one of my bigger ones on Saturday for like the point value, and then the Hawaii Bowl with Coastal and San Jose. That's gonna be a fun way to end the night.
Yep.
See, like I don't get it. Like I know the NFL's on Sunday. Like okay, It's Christmas Eve. Like, let the NFL have their 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. I have no problem with that. Like, they got to do what they got to do. It's a Sunday. Like they're playing. But why does the NFL have to go on Christmas Eve night? Like, that's the Hawaii Bowl. Like, that is what it's there for every year to watch. Even if the NFL game is on, like, would you rather watch the Broncos and the Patriots or the Hawaii Bowl between San Jose and Coastal Carolina? Like, I know my answer. Like, that Broncos Patriots game, like that'll put people to sleep. It's
Yeah.
That's gonna be brutal. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, that game should be Sunday night for the Hawaii, but instead it's late Saturday night.
I think the NFL. I mean, I don't know what the TV ratings are going to be for all these games. Like, I'm assuming the NFL will get bigger ratings anyway, but it's just
Like, that game's on NFL Network too. It's not even like a national game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Good point. Like, it's not even like on CBS or anything, so it's like
Right.
this is just one of those things that they're just trying to do it because they think they can, and it's like, listen, like, I think at some point you're gonna have to understand that there are other sports. Like, you are not the only sport in America. Like, you can, and I think if that really was the choice, I'm not gonna watch the Broncos. No way. Like, I had no problem missing the Broncos game last week either.
Well, it's more so the Patriots too. Like, at least the Broncos are kind of interesting. Like, the Patriots are just a complete bore of a team. They have nothing going for them. Although I will say I'll take them +7 against the Broncos. Who are the Broncos to be laying 7 points?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
With a total's 34. Like, come on, that it's gonna be like 16-10. I'll take the Pats with the points, even though it's gonna be an ugly game.
I was genuinely surprised the Broncos got trashed like they did, though. I thought they would keep it close. Maybe they were due.
I don't know. I think they've been kind of skating by on, like, bullshit luck for the last month. And I'm not saying the Lions are great, but at home the Lions are their offense is pretty explosive at home. So at least they got that going for them.
One more.
So
and then
I think.
Oh, sorry. You were saying?
I was just saying I didn't think Denver would keep up in that scenario in the dome environment. And before we get to your last thing, I'll mention before, you said the NFL will, like, basically do anything and it's just going to fly. You saw that they awarded a game to Brazil next year. So just another international country where we're going to be playing football. And there are reports that they could play it week 1 and that they might play it like on a Friday or a Saturday, or they could do a Thursday doubleheader to start the year. So who the hell knows? So just more intrigue, what's going to happen with this Brazil game.
I think the more you dilute the product like that, the more it's going to hurt long term. I think
It's like you can only put so many teams in a national window because there's not that many great teams in the NFL. Like, there's 6, 7 teams that can realistically win the Super Bowl. So if they aren't playing, like, it's not going to be an amazing matchup. Like, this week you have, I believe, 7 or 8 standalone games because of the way they segmented it out. And, like, we're going to watch it because it's football and whatever, but it's like there's just a lot of, like, kind of average middling teams in the NFL.
Yeah, this is a really bad year to be doing this kind of schedule. Like, there really aren't that many great teams at all, and even the Eagles don't even look that great anymore. Like, I did kind of call that, though. I mean, we didn't get into it on here, but in Discord and socials, I was getting into it in text too. Like, I didn't think the Eagles were.
They did have a great game though for Monday night, Christmas night, Ravens and 49ers. That's gonna be a great game.
That is gonna be great. Good point. Good call on that. People are, I love that the Niners have turned it around, and interestingly enough, that all started with a game against the Eagles, and since then they have been rolling. And I think that's a team that you can definitely buy into. John, we'll get into the Bills next week or whenever we do the next podcast, because I think the Bills could I think the Bills are going to make that run, and if they get in, I would give them just as much of a shot as anybody else to go to the Super Bowl. I think they have a rush.
Right, they're dangerous.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So the Armed Forces Bowl I want to bring up because James Madison was a huge topic this year, and they are favored slightly over Air Force. Quite an interesting scenario. Now, it's a tough call because you think about the home field advantage, but we just talked about New Mexico. That didn't do anything for them. So I don't know. How would you play that?
I'm thinking Air Force.
Okay.
The more I thought about it, because a service academy there's going to be no opt-outs. Like they're going to be there motivated to play the game. Like that's check, you have your check of like what you're worried about in a bowl game. Like that, there's no concern with that. Um, and I feel like James Madison, they just lost their coach to Indiana. So that's going to play a factor too. I have to see if they have any other opt-outs or guys in the transfer portal. I feel like their quarterback McLeod is not playing. I could be wrong about that, but I will double check on that.
Okay.
But the way that James Madison plays is their amazing like run defense, which is obviously Air Force is going to run the option. But if they have like linebackers and defensive linemen that aren't playing, like that could really open things up for Air Force. I would lean. I'm going to lean Air Force in this matchup. But again, pending, like I need to do a little more research on who's in and who's out. But I think just on the motivation angle alone, I think Air Force is the way to go in this one.
I think that I like where you're coming from on this. Like it's definitely a decent strategy or a decent angle that you're going with there. I won't waste.
Plus, they lost four games to end the year. Like they're going to be even more motivated to come out and end their season on a good note. And I know James Madison's their first bowl game, but like I feel like their conference games were more important to them than this game would be, even though it is their first one in school history. Because they were petitioning to try to get the NCAA to get them into a waiver to play for the Sun Belt Championship, and who knows, maybe they could have been in like the New Year's Six Bowl, and like here they are like in the Armed Forces Bowl without their coach. Like I don't know, I feel like Air Force is the more motivated side here.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it going the other way too, but I think your angle makes a lot of sense here too. So we'll see how it goes. It does seem like an under would be the way to go, just knowing Air Force's interest in running the ball, and so you figure there'll be limited possessions.
Yeah, I feel like the under as well. I don't even know what it is. My guess would be like 44.
Let's go see.
If I had to set a total. I know I was pretty good on this last week.
Yeah, I was gonna say you nailed it last
exercise.
week. Let's go see. Let's see. We have here 41.5. Wow, there you go. That's beautiful.
Wow. Even a little bit lower than I thought. So yeah, that's close. I would still probably lean under.
Yeah, I think so.
Two like pretty good run defenses. Like and the way Air Force like leads the clock. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's solid strat. I feel that way. I lean the same way. Most of these games I will lean over. Like I really feel like you have to have specific kinds of styles of teams or specific teams. You have to know a specific amount of detail about a team. So the other game where I think it would be under, Utah Northwestern, under 41.
Oh God, yeah. Absolutely.
That's just automatic.
What was the number again?
41. Same number.
And a half?
Same number. Yeah, 41.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't see Northwestern doing much on offense in that game at all.
Yeah. And then, well, maybe we'll look ahead in this another time. Well, but we look at it a little bit more because we won't be back till the new year. Bowling Green, Minnesota, the over-under is 39.5. And
oh, God.
Yeah.
That's a disgusting game.
Yeah.
That is so bad.
Yeah. No, can't disagree on that. But
I'd say under for that.
I would say under too.
Under for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Bowling Green is going to score much on Minnesota, and Minnesota's offense is inept to begin with. So
yeah. Texas State Rice. I don't know anything about this game.
Yeah, we established that in the last one. This is maybe like one of the lowest picks for you.
Yeah, it has to be. But
I'd probably say over.
Yeah.
Based on the little amount I know of these two, I would say over.
I feel like you got a decent chance with the over. The over under is 59. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would say over. Yeah.
Now, can you would you mind sharing like what you know about the Kansas quarterback situation? Because if I know that they can win with any of them, but like, what's the latest there?
I honestly don't know. I feel like Jason Bean is still going to. I don't think Jalen Daniels is going to play.
Okay.
I don't think he's playing because he hasn't played, and I don't see why he would play for this. But I'm pretty sure Bean, who's been playing, is still going to play. The bigger issue is their offensive coordinator took the same job at Penn State, so he's not going to be there. So is the offense going to be different?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming he has an assistant that can kind of run the plays, but that's the one thing that I might
Okay.
worry about a little bit. But on paper, like this game screams over
Okay.
UNLV and Kansas.
I agree. And the over under 64.5.
Yeah.
I love that call. And UNLV just does nothing on defense. Like I love that.
No,
Yeah.
nothing. And
So
neither does Kansas, really, for that matter.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
over.
Yeah, I'm into it. So that's probably we can just cut it off there. We were gonna talk about some LIV, but we're close to time. I mean, it's up to you if
I
you
mean,
want to get into
there
it.
really isn't that much to say. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I would like to get our friend Mike's more detailed legal analysis
Yeah.
at this point. So we'll save the bulk of the conversation for when he's around. But you know, nothing's progressed in terms of the merger. Apparently, it was just kind of like all just BS, like just legalese, just like, yeah, we're kind of, you know, agreeing to maybe negotiate that kind of thing. It wasn't like an actual agreement. And LIV is still plucking players. So if you want to watch John Rahm this year, you've got to tune into the CW, which is just kind of sad, honestly. Like it's just diluting the PGA Tour more. LIV has no um, well, they do have a TV contract, but it's not, you know, no one's running turning, you know, running in from their barbecue to watch LIV golf. Like it's hard to find, and like they shut it off for like reruns of like their comedy series like when there's at the end of the time period. It's a joke, like the
Yeah.
LIV golf contract and everything. The TV contract is a joke, but it's just diluting both tours, and there's no visibility for that tour. It's sad for the game of golf. So I know as bad as like, you know, you don't want to work with the Saudis really, but at the same time, it's like, all right, we need to get golf back into where like all the best players are playing most of the weeks and not just like the four majors, because the majors are going to be great, but just the rest of the year, it's just kind of like, at this point, it's not looking great, but we'll see. I mean, the season starts in 2 weeks. The tournament in Hawaii, well, for the PGA Tour anyway. So definitely looking forward to golf season starting. So I can't wait for that. But you know, at the same time, it's just kind of bittersweet with the LIV situation.
Yeah. I appreciate your thoughts on that situation. I mean, I'm pretty sad too. Like I think I got into it the last time we talked about golf a few months ago, and it's like you said it great on the text with us. Like you said, it just decreases my interest in either league, and I feel the same. Like I'm just like, okay, well, maybe slightly.
Yeah, well, I hope the PGA can like make some new stars, or like kind of like the guy had been kind of touting, Ludwig Aberg. He played in the Ryder Cup. Like he's like a next like big thing on the PGA Tour. Like now you have to worry, like, is he going to go to LIV? Like it's just crazy. You know, like these new, you know, young stars in the tour, like it just, who knows what's going to happen at this point. So it just sucks to see, but we'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to the season starting, and you know, we'll catch up with it as we go in the coming months. Are you going to I know you sometimes go to the Genesis event in LA. Is that on the agenda, or?
Well, it's not on the agenda, but it'll come around because I'm sure people.
Yeah,
well,
we're still a couple months away. But...
Yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting, I think. So, well, John, this has been great. Thank you so much for hanging out for a little bit. Have a great holidays. Have a great holidays, and I'll see you around soon.
Yeah, sounds good, Dave. We'll have to reconvene maybe after the New Year, and we can talk about the NFL playoff race. We'll have the national championship game set, so we can talk about some bowl games. So yeah, it'll be a good time.
Good times. Well, thank you again, John. Be safe and stay. You know, hope you don't get sick during the holidays. I know it's hard to do for any of us, but yeah, cheers. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you too. Happy holidays, Dave. See ya.
Got it. Take care, John. John in Connecticut, folks. It's good times. And yeah, I'll mirror that to all of you. Have a great rest of your. Do enjoy the year. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, everybody. So I wish happy holidays from all of us at the Sandwich Corner to you. And if you want to keep following us, I'll be over at the Sandwich Show on Twitch in just a few minutes. If you're watching us live, or if you're not watching us live, you can catch me over on Twitch during the holiday break too. It's an unusual move. I normally don't stream during the holiday break, but I'm gonna try it this year, and we'll see how it goes. But we definitely will do a stream tonight. or Wednesday night if you're listening to this after the fact. And to that, I'll say good night for now. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you missed any part of it, we've got the replay on YouTube, and also you can catch our podcast over on wherever you get podcasts, including Spotify or Amazon Music, all the podcasting platforms. Have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you next time.